There is a lot of chatter online about low porosity hair. What is it? And is it even something that you should be worried about? Well, keep on watching because I'm going to tell you everything you need to know. Hello and welcome to the world of Craig. Yes, that's me, I'm Craig, and this is my channel where we get into all things hair and sometimes a little bit of beauty. Low porosity hair. Interesting. It's been coming up here a lot in comments on some of my recent videos. Thank you so much for all of your comments and all of your support. I love my channel so much and you lot are all so fantastic. You lot, all of you wonderful human beings are so fantastic. So yes, low porosity hair. Right from the get-go, I'm going to put this straight out there and because this video is going to be packed full of information about low porosity hair, the science, and how you can effectively look after hair that you might feel is low porosity. But I'm going to put it out there, and what also is hair that is high porosity, but I'm going to put it out there from the get-go. It's incredibly hard for anybody to tell if their hair is low porosity. Yes, I know there's the test where you pluck a hair out and you pop it in the glass of water, and if it floats, then it's low porosity, and if it sinks, it's porous because it's absorbing the water. That is not a science-based test, and there are many factors that can mean that the hair floats. It can be coated in product. It could just be that the hair floats on the meniscus of the water. So that's not a conclusive test. The only way to tell is if you look at your hair underneath a microscope. And even then, it would probably need to be an electron microscope to be able to detect the cuticle layer that is on the outside of the hair. We'll get into all of that in a second. But I just wanted to put that out there from the get-go. And to also to add to that, in my opinion, is low porosity hair something you should worry about? Absolutely not. We have enough to worry about as human beings. So worrying about low porosity hair, please don't add that to your list. But let's get into what it is and how you can look after hair that you might suspect is low porosity. So to understand what low porosity hair is, and just to mention, if you enjoy this and find it helpful, you know exactly what to do. Your support does mean an awful lot to me. So thank you very much if you are subscribed. But if you're not subscribed, make sure you are and hit the bell to turn on your notifications so that you get notified when I release a new video every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. GMT. So let's put two images on the screen, okay? Underneath electron microscopes, this is a hair with a cuticle that is flat, not compacted, but that is flat. This is a hair with a cuticle that is raised. This is really more what hair would look like constantly if it does have low porosity, okay? So that means that the cuticle won't swell when the hair is wet because water is what swells the hair's cuticle, and that allows things to penetrate the hair. So we have what potentially a low porosity hair would look like all the time, and what hair that has a high porosity or is porous would look like a lot of the time. I'm just going to put it out there now. Hair has a constant, continuous water content of about 8 to 12%. If hair didn't have water in it, it would not be hair. Hair needs the water to be hair, so 8 to 12%. Even if your hair is what's classed as, very hard to tell, as low porosity, it would still have a water content within the structure, the internal structure of the hair, trying not to get too sciencey. So it's really important to remember that. And of course, if those cuticles are compacted, when water touches the hair, if someone's hair is low porosity, it might take a bit longer for the hair to be saturated, and you might need to be a bit more thorough about it, but the water is still going to swell the cuticle of the hair so that nutrients, so that products, nutrients, more water, although we don't want too much water in our hair. It's a common misnomer that hair needs to be hydrated. It doesn't, because hair has a constant water temperature. Applying heat to it, colouring it, all of those, all of the salt water, chlorine, hard mineral water deposits, all of those things can have an impact on the porosity of hair and the water content. But that basically is what low porosity hair is. So, how can you realistically diagnose if your hair might be without being finite about it? And please, I don't want anyone to get worried about having low porosity hair, because it really isn't a big deal, in my opinion. Yay! And also, I would just say at this point, be careful of where you're getting your information from. I have seen a lot of content from people who have nothing to do with hair, who are telling you that this is what's going to tell you that your hair is low porosity, or you definitely have low porosity hair. Don't point at the screen, Craig. Don't point at the camera, Craig. And, and really over-egging it for the clicks. And I really don't think that you should be worried about this, because as I've already explained, when water hits the hair, the cuticle will swell slightly. Cuticles don't open and close like a door, but it will swell and let nutrients in, even if it takes a bit longer to saturate the hair. But how can you tell if your hair is low porosity? Well, generally it's people whose hair is much glassier, much silkier. Maybe the hair is finer to medium texture individually and very smooth and silky, very smooth and silky. Generally people with more textured hair, where the cuticle will be slightly raised naturally, genetically, because that's what textured hair is. The cuticle is slightly more raised, and therefore it has that quality to it, and it's generally hair that can get tangled a little bit more, a bit more easily. If the hair is low porosity, as people are calling it, then the cuticle is more compacted, so that means the hair doesn't get stuck together, because it's the cuticles that tangle hair up. Does that make sense? Oh, it does, great. So if your hair is silky, shiny, glassy, then that's what's going to make your hair low porosity potentially, and make it harder for it to absorb water, although it will absorb water. And if your hair is higher in porosity or porous, and that's also another thing, is I've seen a few people recently saying if your hair is bleached, then the cuticle will be more compacted and it could be low porosity. Or if your hair is coloured, the cuticle will be compacted and it will be low porosity. No, it won't, because if your hair is chemically treated, the chances are, even if you're using lots of wonderful treatments on it, you're conditioning it regularly, which smooths the cuticle, if your hair is chemically treated, then generally that cuticle is going to be slightly more swollen. So it's very unusual for somebody to have low porosity hair if their hair is chemically treated. So you've seen all the chatter online, and hopefully you've got to this point of the video. Hello. And you are a bit concerned that you think your hair might be low porosity. What can you do? Well, the first thing I would suggest is to regularly use something that is clarifying, a clarifying shampoo or a clarifying treatment, just to make sure that there is no product build-up. Now, products don't really build up the way that they used to, and as we know here on my channel, we love dimethicone, we love silicones because they're great, and in the formulas that they're in these days, they are soluble, so they are removed from the hair, but a clarifying shampoo is a good idea. I use a clarifying shampoo. I use the K18 Detox shampoo regularly. I use it quite a lot because my scalp really likes it, but it doesn't overstrip the hair. There are many other products. This is not sponsored. I am a K18 education ambassador, but it's not sponsored. There are lots of other clarifying shampoos. I think you should be using one regularly anyway. So that's the first point of call, is introduce that into your routine to make sure there isn't anything that's building up on the hair. Pollution points to the window, can build up on your hair. And if you use a lot of styling products that have polymers and acrylates, they can build up on the hair too. So it's not just naughty old silicone, although I don't think it's naughty. So regular clarifying can be good, because then that means that your hair is ready to accept whatever it is you're going to use. And then my advice would be, use products that have clinical data behind them, or that have been independently tested. Again, I'm going to mention K18 because there's a whole playlist here on my channel, but we know that K18, the polypeptide chain, the molecule in that, penetrates into the cortex, and we know it does because it's clinically proven to do that. There are lots of other brands that have products that do work on the internal structure of the hair that are clinically tested, and I would suggest that you do your own research and you find what's right for you. But that means that even though it might be a bit tricky or a bit harder, if you do feel that you have low porosity hair, you're still going to do the repair and do the good inside the hair. Just to add to that, another great thing to look for is products, shampoos and conditioners that contain citric acid, lactic acid, salicylic acid, any of the AHAs, alpha hydroxy acids, because they also help to address the hair's pH. Citric acid is a really good one. Malic acid is also good. Lots of acids all flying around there. Addressing the hair's pH also does help to make the hair stronger. It helps to deal with the cuticle health as well. So if you look on any products, whether they're drugstore, I know that Redken have lines, like acidic bonding complex and the acidic colour gloss, and that addresses pH. But then there are things in the drugstore too from Elvive. I'm trying to think of other lines as well, but there are not ones that aren't just L'Oreal. But there are loads of products out there that address pH, and that's a really good thing too, to regulate the porosity of the hair generally. So that's it for our look at low porosity. Do you feel that you have low porosity hair? I'd love to hear from you. Have you got ways that you as a hair professional, that you find that you can tell if someone has low porosity? It'd be really helpful to have your comments. And remember, you leave me a comment or ask me a question, I will always get back to you. I can't give you individual hair colour formulas because I can't see you and there's just too much to it. What you think is beige, I might not think is beige. But I will answer your questions and get back to you with all of your comments. That's it. A huge thank you for watching this. You'll take lots of care and I'll see you all in the next one.